Alright, this started as a forum post, but it got way too long. I figured no one would want to read that wall of text and decided to turn it into a video. It got way too long. Anyway, I do think that I do have some good stuff in here, but if you want to skip around, you can click on the timestamps down below. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, for anyone who might be on break, CCP introduced a year-round daily log-on reward campaign, presumably to increase player log-ons and engagement. Personally, I love the idea. I like free stuff, and I want EVE to survive and thrive. So, if it does increase logins and engagement, then that's a win-win in my book. The problem, however, is that the rewards suck balls. I mean, they are so bad that if they had started the campaign on April 1st, I would have just assumed that it was an April Fool's joke. Now, before continuing, I want to be clear. I don't feel entitled to free stuff, and this isn't me complaining. But before moving on to my suggestions, I do want to talk about why the current rewards are so bad and why that's a problem. I also want to point out that designing rewards for a PvP-centric game with a player-driven market and free accounts is exceedingly difficult. If you're not careful, you can screw up game balance in the economy, and if you make the alpha rewards too good, you can expect players to create tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of accounts in order to farm them. So, CCP definitely has their work cut out for them. Mistakes can cause some serious problems. In fact, that's probably why the rewards suck. They probably figured that it would be better to go too cold and then turn the rewards up than it would be to go too hot and then have to put out fires. So hopefully they'll eventually be able to find that Goldilocks zone. So we get a rotation of 3 daily rewards and a skill point bucket. Each time you claim a daily reward, you get some SP put into your bucket. Once it fills up, you get all the SP. The daily rewards include random drugs of varying strength, limited time skins, and a 1-run BPC for low-level items. The Omega rewards are technically better, but just as useless. It's like Alphas get a small box of garbage, while Omegas get a large, but I digress. First up, the problem with the booster is that it has a 20-minute duration. With Biology 5, it is automatically consumed when you redeem it, and you can only redeem it while docked. So, assuming that it even gives a bonus that you're interested in, you'd be hard-pressed to actually make good use of it. Like, you wouldn't be able to pop it right before the bonus room in Angel Extravaganza or when you find a fight. You have to pop it right before undocking and then hope you can get to your content before it expires. The time-limited skins are also auto-injected when redeemed and only work for a week. So, it not only requires that you like the skin and be able to fly the ship, but that you actually fly the ship within that week. So, not only are players unlikely to ever even use them, but they don't even scratch the collector's itch that some of us have. Then we have the 1-run BPCs with 0 ME and PE for basic stuff like T1 frigates and T1 small guns, which is so bad that I would argue that new bros shouldn't even use them. For example, given the cost and advantages of Meta 1 guns, new bros shouldn't even be messing with T1 guns. And even if they were going to go T1, they'd probably be better off just buying them all at once from standing by orders. Remember, they're going to have to source the minerals to build the gun. They're going to have to haul the minerals, wait for the gun to build. And even after all of that, they still have to source more fucking guns to fit a full rack because CCP is only given 1-run BPCs. And if they wanted to get into industry, their best bet would be to buy a Blueprint original, do some research on it, and then build in stacks of 10 in order to minimize time investment and maximize profits. So, aside from the SP, the Evergreen rewards are all trash. And even that's not anything to get super excited about. Don't get me wrong, I'll take it, but I'm not going to sweat missing any days either. I mean, it's like having a friend who will give you a quarter every day that you text him at least once. Then once you hit $10, he'll pay out. Oh, and he might accidentally pay you a Monopoly money. But to be clear, I do like free unallocated SP. I just think that the amount is kind of underwhelming given the rest of the rewards. Anyway, the problem with these rewards aren't that I'm not getting a bunch of amazing stuff for free. The problems are that these rewards are so crappy that they're unlikely to have the desired effect on player logins and engagement, they contribute to perceptions of CCP incompetency, and they contribute to perceptions that the CSM is out of touch with the wants of most of the player base. And in case you're wondering about that last one, it's because it said in the last CSM minutes that the CSM suggested that the rewards be soulbound, which was part of the reason why the rewards suck so bad. Now, I'm a fan of free stuff. Free food, free love, free ballin', free basing. I'm all about the free. I also like sharing my opinions with people whether they ask for it or not, so I do have a few suggestions.
You gotta be kidding me.
However, before we get started, let's talk about a few things. First, I designed these rewards around the following criteria. They can't screw with the game balance, economy, or CCP's income. They have to be good enough to get people excited. Alpha rewards shouldn't incentivize players to create a bunch of accounts to farm them. And some rewards should only be able to be acquired through logins. The whole point of this system is to encourage logins and engagement. So allowing players to just be able to buy whatever they want on the market would work against those goals. Second, there are a lot of levers and knobs that CCP can adjust with this reward system, which will make fine-tuning rewards easier. And do note that I didn't labor over details such as reward chance. This is just meant to be a jumping off point. I'm sure that CCP is in a much better position to determine what final reward chances and strengths and all that should be. Okay, this might trigger some people, but let's be real. There's a reason why slot machines are so addictive and loot boxes so profitable. In fact, B.F. Skinner himself found that random rewards resulted in people doing the desired behavior for longer and more often than predictable rewards would. Thus, daily rewards should be randomized. No predictable patterns, no telling them ahead of time that they'll be getting a reward from a particular prize pool. Every day should be a chance to get something that they want. Of course, they won't get something amazeballs on most days, but there's always that chance. Moreover, having random chances for the rewards allows for greater fine-tuning than having rewards appear every X number of days. And this is especially true when the rewards are too rare to give out to everyone. For example, one possible reward might be a voucher for an EVE event of the player's choosing. But CCP can't give that out to everyone, nor can they award 1/10,000th of a voucher to everyone. But if you have a semi-random prize pool, you can give everyone a 0.00001% chance of winning or whatever. And on top of that, you can do things like tweak reward chances based upon whether or not they count as alpha or omega, or even the number of consecutive days logged in. In addition to the random daily rewards, there should also be guaranteed milestone rewards. It would kind of be like the way SP rewards are now, except milestone rewards need to be good enough to get people excited. In fact, because they are exciting and guaranteed, you should actually let players know what milestone is coming up next. And yes, I just stole this whole reward structure from Warframe. Daily rewards are randomized and typically rather piddly, but you have a decent enough chance of getting something good and a small chance of getting something great. And even if today's reward isn't all that great, you're always making progress towards that next milestone. And do note that none of the daily rewards are straight garbage. Now, they are often mediocre, but they all still have at least some value, no matter how small. Let me put it this way. The Warframe daily rewards thing has been going on for years now, and no one has yet to ask Digital Extremes to add a garbage button to the redeem screen. Alright, let's talk rewards. First up, Tier 1 Abyss Filaments are already dirt cheap, and CCP already gives them out like candy. Moreover, if they save a new bro from being funneled into mining or missioning, that's a win in my book. So, might as well use them to help fill out the reward table. And yes, these don't have a lot of value for vets, but they always have some value no matter how small. You can sell them for pocket change, throw them in your junk drawer, donate them to your corp for new bro use, whatever. They might not be worth much, but at least they're not straight up garbage. Next, give out Cerebral Accelerators of varying strength and duration. Obviously, longer and more powerful accelerators should be rarer than shorter and weaker ones. Also, don't put an expiration date on them and allow Omegas to trade and sell them. This means that even if players don't care about the SP, they can still sell them for some cash. Of course, alpha accounts are a different story. If you didn't have the accelerators automatically inject when alphas redeemed them, then people would farm the hell out of them. And yes, it does occur to me that alphas that hit the SP cap won't get any benefit out of them, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because it might actually encourage people to go Omega. In fact, it might not be a bad idea to award the same strength accelerators to alphas and omegas and just have them work at half strength for alphas. Now, unallocated SP might seem redundant, but there's actually a big difference between accelerators and free SP. Of course, the free SP is instant, but more importantly, it allows players who are mapped for one thing to be able to polish skills with different attributes without compromising their training rate. Anyway, CCP could tweak award sizes and chances to give out about the same amount of SP that they are currently given, but that would be fine because it would be in the form of daily rewards and not milestones. Like, 150k SP is good enough for dailies, but it's kind of lackluster for milestones given how crappy the rest of the rewards are. Okay, I do think it's a good idea for CCP to keep giving out drugs. However, I think they should be made tradable and sellable for Omegas. Obviously, I understand that this could screw with the economy, but it can also be compensated for by greatly reducing the chances of getting drugs. Like, 10 drugs a month per Omega account would probably be a problem, but 1 or 2 a month, that might be okay. Especially if you make the higher potency boosters significantly rare. Moreover, this might actually end up getting more people into drugs, which would then increase demand. Regardless, the numbers can always be tweaked if they cause a significant loss of income for those who sell drugs. And yes, drugs do need to be soulbound for alpha accounts in order to prevent farming. However, in order to make them not be completely useless, players should be allowed to redeem them while in space. And yeah, this does allow players to carry drugs in their redeeming queue instead of their cargo hold, but I also think this would be balanced out by things like reward frequency, an expiration date on the drugs, and the fact that only alphas can do it. So I really don't perceive this as being a big issue. Glamour extending boosters can be awarded similarly to other drugs. Allow Omegas to sell and trade them, but balance that out with frequency and potency. Also, you should probably make it so that they don't expire, otherwise you'd have to create a new booster every 30 days or whatever. And of course, make them soulbound for alphas in order to prevent farming, and make them work at half strength to further encourage going Omega. Okay, this one might spark some debate, but give out Glamoric security status boosters. And no, this will not be a huge buff to ganking because dedicated gankers already live with low security statuses. They do things like keep their gank characters docked up or tethered 95% of the time and instead use alts as scouts, loot scoopers, and haulers. So, no, this won't be a huge buff to ganking. Instead, it will help people who do any fighting in low sec to keep their sec status high enough to be able to safely travel through Empire space. Fireworks aren't exactly the most exciting of rewards, but they also don't affect game balance or the economy, so might as well use them to help fill out the reward table. Okay, this one is a little out there, but hear me out. In Halo 3, there was a skull that made enemies explode into confetti when headshot. It got me thinking that it might be cool to be able to carry an item around that made your ship explode in a spectacular fashion when killed. Now, I am not an expert on such things, so I don't know how it affects server and client performance. This may very well be a terrible idea. But then again, people already put their clients into potato mode for large fleet fights, and I can't imagine that it'd be that much worse than fireworks, so I don't know. Alright, I know many players want to give two craps about this, but some players would absolutely love it. And if you balance reward rates with demand properly, you could make them have a respectable amount of vis value, which would make them have value to everyone. Anyway, for those that don't know, some people are a little bit anal retentive about organizing their hangars. So, for those people, color-coded containers would be amazing. Like, I would put all my industry stuff in blue containers, my Abyss stuff in red containers, and so on. Rewards could include a various assortment of containers in a particular color. Like, you could have one reward be 2 of each station container in purple, or 5 small audit log containers in orange. Anyway, I realize that new storage options probably aren't going to get a lot of people excited, but it doesn't affect balance. I doubt it's going to screw with anyone's incomes, and some players will absolutely love it. Okay, Warframe occasionally gives out coupons for their premium currency through the reward system, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, they found a way to advertise their premium currency in-game without pissing players off. From the perspective of a player, integrating it into the reward system means that I will only see it a maximum of once per day, so it doesn't really feel like they're being obnoxious with it. And two, even if I don't want the coupon, I'm still making progress towards my next milestone. And this might interest the money guys working at CCP, but I'm pretty damn sure that the coupons aren't completely random. I'm willing to bet that they analyze when players were most likely to buy premium currency and then tip the scale so that they're more likely to get coupons at that time. For example, I'll tend to see them a lot more frequently after returning from a break, so I'm willing to bet that CCP should do the same thing. And of course, encourage FOMO by giving them random discount sizes and a 48-hour expiration date. Like, I know I've bought platinum that I had initially had no intention of buying simply because I got a coupon that I couldn't pass up on. I mean, 70% off platinum, when are you going to see one of those again? You know, I may not need the platinum right now, but I might as well stock up when it's dirt cheap. Anyway, I don't know what would be appropriate discount sizes for EVE or how frequently you should give these things out, but you can make them for Plex subscriptions and multiple character training. And yeah, I do consider this a better option than sending out emails, and of course it is definitely better than throwing up pop-ups on people's screens. Biohazard Cleanup Unit, like an MTU, but it only tractors corpses. Rare variants could have more range, faster tractor speeds, and take up less cargo space. Why? Why not? Corpse collectors would love it, and it doesn't screw with balance or the economy. For those that don't know, there are a bunch of lore trinkets surrounding all the Triglavian content. Obviously, most people couldn't care less, but some players do like the lore, and they like speculating on what it all means. So, I was thinking they could do something similar for upcoming live events. In addition to some story, drop hints about what enemies will be faced, ship size restrictions, and possible rewards. And of course, try to get the trinkets out before it all hits Hobo Leaks. Give all the players, streamers, and talk shows something to speculate on. Anyway, once again, it doesn't affect game balance or the economy. It fills out the reward table. And I imagine that these shouldn't be too hard to make. CCP should also probably make more lore trinkets based on Capsuleer actions. I know a lot of players wouldn't care about them, but there are collectors out there, and it fills out the reward table without causing any problems, and well, I assume that they're not that hard to make, so why not? Unless CCP plans to start giving out BPCs for expensive BPOs or faction stuff, I'd just assume go buy the BPO. However, if they do plan on keep giving out cheap BPCs, they should give them 10 runs with 5 MEP. They can easily balance this out with a lower reward chance. Older industrials would be more inclined to use them for invention because they can queue up 10 jobs at a time. Newer players can use them without having the absolute worst manufacturing cost possible, and it would still be worthwhile for players to go buy BPOs. Alright, I'm not advocating for CCP to give out stupid amounts of Plex, but there should probably be the possibility of winning a jackpot if you want people to keep pulling that lever. I don't know how much Plex is an appropriate amount to give out every month, but prizes should probably be no smaller than 25 Plex and absolutely no smaller than 10 Plex. I know slot machines can pay out as little as a quarter or two, but they also pay out relatively frequently. So, unless you can afford to pay out as often as a slot machine, you should probably make the minimum prize size large enough that it doesn't feel like a joke when players do win. Furthermore, I recommend keeping the prizes small enough that you can spread the love around a bit and make people feel like they have a reasonable chance of winning. And I'm sure I don't have to tell the money guys this, but prizes should be such that they're always short of the nest prices in order to encourage additional Plex purchases. For example, a 25 Plex prize is short of buying any of the Intaki skins. A 50 Plex prize can buy one Intaki skin, but is short of being able to buy 2 skins, and is short of being able to buy any of the 55 Plex skins, and so on. Speaking of which, include a link to the nest whenever anyone does win Plex. Alright, I talked about this before, but giving out a handful of event vouchers every year would be pretty cool. I know that winning would be super rare, but the remote possibility of winning jackpot seems to work out nicely for lotteries, so I'd imagine that it would work similarly here. Okay, so that takes care of random daily rewards. Let's talk milestones. And this is just a jumping off point. Reward timing and value would need to be tweaked, but hopefully this will get the brain juices flowing. First up, I'd like to see some Capsuleer loyalty skins. Now, I am sure that designing skins require a butt ton of work, and on top of that, they compete with skins in the nest. But I think there are things that you could do in order to maximize the mileage you get out of them. First off, make the skins soulbound. I know I complained about soulbound skins earlier, but those were also temporary skins. Permanent skins are a different beast. Anyway, making them soulbound would allow CCP to give them to alphas without having to worry about farming, and it would prevent players from just buying whatever they wanted on the market. If they wanted a skin for a particular ship, the only way they can get it is by logging in. Second, you don't have to design all the skins up front. Depending on the frequency in which you hand them out, you only need to design like 26 to 52 per year. For example, if you gave out a skin every 10 logins, players could earn a maximum of 36.5 skins a year. And if you made a skin for every non-special edition ship in the game, you'd have about 8 years worth of skins. And that's also assuming a player logs in every day. Most players, they're probably never going to collect them all. And even the hardcore vets who do stick around for exceptionally long periods of time will probably need a decade to get them all. Okay, military uniforms often feature service stripes, which denote X years of service. And this got me thinking that you could probably do something similar with Capsuleer loyalty skins. Of course, there are a couple ways you can handle it. Option 1, CCP designs 1 year's worth of skins and then awards tweaked versions for subsequent years. For example, they could add in service stripes, swap colors, or have metal bits that change from bronze, silver to gold with subsequent awards. Naturally, these small alterations would allow CCP to get even more mileage out of their work. Alternatively, CCP could go ahead and design new skins every year and have those skins automatically upgrade over time. For example, all Capsuleer loyalty skins could automatically get a service stripe for every 365 days worth of logins. Now, I know this would require a lot more work because CCP would have to keep designing new skins every year, but it would also be fucking badass. I guarantee you that it would dramatically increase the desirability of these skins, and it would make every login have the added bonus of bringing the player 1 day closer to his next service stripe. Finally, something else I was thinking about was slightly tweaking the chances of getting a particular skin based upon your spaceship command skill levels. Since they're soulbound and there are so many ships in the game, this would help avoid situations of players going excessively long periods of time without getting a skin for a ship they can actually fly. So, if you have Minmatar Cruiser 5 and a Mar Battlecruiser 0, you'd be more likely to get skins for ships that are affected by the Minmatar Cruiser skill than skins for ships that are affected by the Mar Battlecruiser skill. Alright, so this isn't a huge thing, but I don't think that it will require a lot of work on CCP's end either, and it won't affect balance or the economy. Moreover, it would probably also trigger a lot of people's nostalgia, so that's why I think we should be allowed to customize our login screen background image and be given old and new logon screen artwork as milestones. And you could probably also open up submissions to players to even further reduce the amount of work that CCP would need to do. Moreover, this is something that you could use to beef up other milestone rewards. Like, you could make these 25-day milestone rewards, and you could also add in 1 or 2 artworks for longer milestones whose rewards are coming up short. And of course, you could do the same thing by giving out guaranteed SP or guaranteed Cerebral Accelerators with other milestone rewards. Obviously, you can throw SoCT Ships into the mix, but I'm not exactly sure how they would work. Like, would you give them a chance of getting anything better than the shuttle, rotate between them, or what? And of course, you need to be exceptionally stingy with the alpha accounts if you want to prevent people from farming them. So, I don't know. Structure skins. Don't know how they should work, but once again, it's something that doesn't affect balance or the economy. Anyway, I was thinking that they should probably be tradable and volatile. Well, to clarify, they should last until the structure is destroyed, not be on a time limit. I do know that players hated volatile ship skins, but a single structure can service hundreds, if not thousands of players. So, if everyone had permanent structure skins, only a tiny fraction of the player base would ever actually get the chance to use them. They need to be relatively rare and volatile to have any value. And something I would definitely like to see is to have skins affect the look of hangars as well. In fact, I'd personally rather see some different hangars than different outside paint jobs. So hopefully it wouldn't take too much work, but even doing things like some color swaps and different lighting could go a long way towards changing hangar ambiance. Colors can also influence consumer behavior, so this is something that market owners might be interested in as well. And this is something I just thought up, so I'm just going to toss it in right here. If any rewards are straight up inappropriate for alphas, maybe they could be substituted for with HUD color scheme. For those that don't know, alpha accounts can only use like gray or black or whatever the hell it is. The low effort way to make Capsuleer loyalty cosmetics would be just to make a shirt and or hat, slap a Roman numeral on it, and then increase that number every year. Which could work if you were using that to beef up the 1-year reward. However, if you wanted to make it the big item in a milestone reward, you should probably design a new item every year. Maybe a jacket for year 1, a cybernetic eye for year 2, a cowboy hat for year 3, and so on. Also, where are my cowboy hats? We have baseball caps in New Eden. Baseball caps. I can't imagine that there was no one who went through the New Eden gate who liked wearing cowboy hats. I want to be a fucking space cowboy. Bonus neural remaps would be nice. Don't think I need to say anything more than that. Alright, I don't know how easy this would be to implement, but it would also be better than sex with hot chicks. So, live player backgrounds. Okay, I don't consider it unreasonable to give out some MCT or Omega Time after a couple years of logins. Moreover, once they started training a character, they're more likely to keep training them. For example, I only intended to train my second character for a couple of months in order to use them as a hauler and market alt. Then I thought, might as well go for a few more months and greatly expand my industry and research slots. Yada yada yada, and he's now on his own account and has been training continuously for the past 5 years. Surely I'm not the only person who does stuff like this. Anyway, give MCT time to Omegas in order to encourage them to create alts, and give Alpha some Omega time. I'm willing to bet that a small but not insignificant amount of those accounts end up paying for additional training or continued Omega status. Of course, one thing that does need to be considered about this is the effect that this will have on skill point farms. Character Resculpt certificate should be self-explanatory. Now, players have been asking for the ability to rename characters for years. I don't know why CCP hasn't been selling us the luxury of doing so. I understand that this could create problems, but you could also avoid them by doing things like just keeping all character contact information and standings, just updating the name, and adding a name history information to the character info window, much in the same way that Corp and character transfer history is provided. Alright, I'm running out of ideas, so last up, give physical items at exceptionally large milestones. You could do things like a poster signed by the devs, an Eve hat or shirt, or a floating next model. Well, maybe not the last one, but you get the idea. I know that these would cost a non-inconsequential amount of money to make and ship, but these would also be rewards for some exceptionally loyal players. And of course, things like hats and shirts would double as advertising. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and create a forum thread. Head on over and give it a like if you think CCP should come up with some better Evergreen rewards. Maybe say how you tweak my suggestions to make them more appropriate, or provide some of your own. I do know that various CCP employees do sometimes read the forums because I sometimes get likes or replies from them. So, who knows? Maybe one of your suggestions could ultimately become a reward. Alright, that's it. I'm going to be working on my CSM candidate cheat sheet next, so keep an eye out for that. My plan is to have it up before the first day of voting. Don't forget to support all your favorite content creators, and until next time, give me free stuff.